Good afternoon. How is everyone doing today? If you can see me okay, you can hear me all right, put it into the chat, let me know please. Just want to make sure that things are working well. Looks like it should be working fine. Yep, okay. Looks like everything is streaming as required. One more thing to do, hang on. If you're new, if you're on the session, do drop a message, say hi, whether you're new. If you're new, let me know where you're joining us from. For all the regulars, a big welcome back. Thank you for joining me again. Before we get started, I'll give you a minute or two before we get started. Let me know, what do you think of yesterday's session as well? Hey Brian, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us from Canada. Good to have you with us. Okay, everything seems to be working fine. It's good. Excellent. Hey Christina, perfect voice and picture. Thank you so much. Hey Jimmy, how are you doing? Okay, one more minute and we shall get started. In the meantime, do help me out. Click that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. The little thumbs up does help. If anything, just to let me know that you guys are happy with the sessions. Hey Pips Apprentice, good morning. How are you doing? We are streaming across multiple platforms. So I'm clicking around, making sure everything is streaming. We are streaming across multiple platforms. So whichever platform you're on, do drop a message, say hi, let me know that everything's working good. And if you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free, put it into the chat and let me know. I might miss the question once in a while, but keep asking. I'm sure I'll get to that. And if I do miss any questions and I realize I missed it, I will answer them in the Discord channel. The link for the Discord channel is there for you guys to join as well. Righty, so let's keep going. Daily market analysis. You like my new background? Live stream daily at 3 p.m. We're on H1 time frames again. So a quick disclaimer, any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. Please do your own due diligence, as the contents of this webinar are not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product, and your objectives, financial situation and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. With that, take that away. Big good morning, Diana. How are you doing? And Mark, good to see you again. Now, since the last time we spoke, right? Yesterday we had a bit of a different session. We had a okay, wait, hang on a second. Yesterday we had Darius from Easy Markets with us. So we had a little bit of a different session, talked about wider, more macro kind of stuff. We didn't go through our usual H1 trade setups, but last night at 9:30 p.m. we did have the Canadians with their CPI number. CPI month to month for the Canadians was minus 0.3%, expected to rise or to grow at a 0.4% month to month, came out flat at 0, right? So inflation month to month, inflation growth month to month for the CAD, Canadian economy staying flat. Median CPI and trimmed CPI. Median CPI was 3.6, revised down to 3.5, expected to stay at 3.6, dropped quite a bit to 3.3%. Right, that's median CPI, while trimmed CPI year on year dropped quite significantly from 3.7 down to 3.4. Essentially, what you should be gathering from this is that inflation growth in the Canadian economy is slowing down. Good news, relatively good news, meaning that the inflation is getting towards the Bank of Canada, the BOC's target of 2 to 3%, the target range of 2 to 3%. It's still above the target range right now, but it seems like it's on track towards that 2 to 3% range. And because of that, we look at the usdcad. We spoke about this briefly yesterday. This was on release of the news. You see that the Canadian dollar shot up. Oh no, not the usdcad shot up. Mainly because of weakness, not mainly, partially because of weakness due to the inflation growth slowing down, right? Inflation growth slowing down is could lead to the Bank of Canada to its decision to cut rates or bring a rate cut decision to the forefront. And with a rate cut decision, making a rate cut decision would make the Canadian dollar a little bit less attractive, and that's why we're seeing some weakness on the CAD, pushing it up, right? Pushing it up. One reason why I say that it's not mainly because of the CPI, that is partially because of the CPI number. At the same time that we see the CAD, the usdcad pushing to the upside. I'll zoom in a bit here. You can see that yesterday at 9, right? At 9, we actually see the dollar pushing down, right? The dollar pushing down. So it's gone down, which should have led to this pushing to the downside, right? We should have led to this pushing to the downside, but instead it's pushed up. So it's the Canadian weakness on the Canadian dollar from the CPI, and I think the the dollar index weakness probably pushed up a lot of the other cross pairs to the CAD, right? To the CAD, and that's why we see this pushing up. So it's an overall relationship, inter-market relationship that's pushing this up. But one of the main drivers is the CPI number that we saw being released yesterday at 9:30 p.m. GMT +8. January rate numbers, weakness, slowdown in inflation growth, and leading to possibly, the Bank of Canada could, not yet, but I think could bring about increased sentiment towards a rate cut decision. Okay. Hey Ayakame, how are you doing? Hey Goju, good morning. Now, with that said about the CAD, what do we have lined up for today? Early this morning, we had wage price index quarter on quarter for the Aussies, came out pretty much as expected, or exactly as expected. Source release data 60 minutes earlier than scheduled. That's not a big problem. So it came out as expected at 0.9%. Again, the wage price index was 1.3, slowing down, right? The increase wage inflation not climbing as much as, or not climbing more than expected at 0.9% is likely to show or to indicate that inflation growth for the Aussies might be again slowing down more significantly. We saw already the slowdown. I can't remember when was it that we saw the Aussie CPI number being released. I know in January it was a big jump, and then in Feb we saw it come back down again. Now with the wage price index or the wage inflation as expected, but lower than previous, we might see inflation growth for the Aussies slowing down further. But if you look at the Aussie dollar on release of the news at 8:30 a.m. GMT plus 8 was relatively ineffectual, right? Didn't move prices too much, but we did see it push up because of that move on the dollar index. So still driven by the dollar index. What you will notice is also now I have, I'll show you this, I have it on the H4 and on the H1 time frame. So I'll try and keep our setups on H1 here, and then we'll do our setups on H4 every Monday. In terms of the dollar index, on Monday we were talking about this dollar index sitting along this level, along that 104.20 level. It did push up a little bit through Tuesday, but then it came right down to that support area that we identified, which was also that 61.8 level, and bounce. It looks like it's bouncing back up. Okay, so it's kind of, let me see. Trend line still works. Okay, so it's kind of working as planned, where we were saying it's going to come down towards this level. This is the one from long ago, right? Come down towards this level and bounce back up. I think that might still be the plan, because if you look at this now on the news again, there are no major news for the rest of the day, right? No major news for the rest of the day, all the way through to early tomorrow morning for me. Might be in the night for you guys, wherever you are. We do have the US FOMC meeting minutes to be released for me at 3 a.m. GMT plus 8. I don't think, unless I can't sleep, but I don't think I will be staying up for this FOMC meeting minutes. I'm not expecting a big surprise, especially with it being a release of the meeting minutes. We didn't see any big surprises during the meeting as well. So I think this might be a little bit of a non-event. Through to tomorrow, we have a whole series of PMI numbers to be released, together with the Euro CPI numbers. I'll tell you more about that during tomorrow's session. Okay, so for now, looking like it's going to be relatively, I was going to say relatively straightforward, but it's never ever going to be straightforward. But you know, no big surprise. Not looking like we're going to see any big surprises coming from the fundamental side of the analysis. So we look at the charts. In the meantime, good morning, Samuel. How are you doing? Hey, Ayakame. Hey, Nav. Good morning. How are you doing? Alrighty. Now, let me just do this and check. Okay, so now with the dollar index today, not the 16th, today is the 21st. And if you hear, I've got my neighbors there bashing away doing something. So if you hear a bit of noise disruption, do bear with me. I can't go, I wish I could, but I probably shouldn't go over to tell them to stop. So just bear with me for a while. All right, just bear me on the noise. So now, February 21st, today is Wednesday. Yes, it is. Today is Wednesday. Dollar index came down, tested. There we go. Here we go. Okay. Tested the support area at about 103.80. 103.80. Looks like it's bounced. We know that this is broken, so we can take that one away. We don't need that. It came down. We can take this. I'll keep that there. The red arrow is the H4 time frame. So 61 is right at this resistance. I'll keep that there. I'll put in the levels again. You'll see that, okay, this is interesting here. The big move on the dollar index coming from the top at 104, almost 105, 104.97 to the downside here at 103.80. We have the dollar came back up, tested 23.6, failed to break, retrace back down a little bit, now looking like it's pushing back up. So what I'm actually looking for here in this case is for the dollar index to break above 23.6. We do have 38.2 there. I don't think it's effective, but I would like to keep 50% there. Okay, so I'm looking at these two levels like that. With no major news on the horizon for the dollar, apart from the FOMC meeting minutes later tonight or early tomorrow morning, I do think that Mark just asked, do you think the trend is over and now sideways on the dollar index? I was just about to say that I think that we might see this push up with no, I don't think it's going to break 104.60, or I don't think it's going to break that 104.55 level, right? So in the meantime, if it, especially if it stays above 103.80 or 103.75, I'll tell you what, this is what I think. Dollar index, all right, break 104.10, could climb to 104.40, then it needs to stay above 103.75. There we go. All right, so what I mean by that is dollar index needs to stay above this point to remain, it's just something that's pushing down. Needs to stay above this point to maintain its longer term trend to the upside. If you look at that, right, push to the upside, needs to stay above that trend line, but for any major or any more significant moves, it does need to break above that 23.6 to climb to 50. What is likely to happen is that it's going to sit here for a while. It's going to sit here for a while, but we're going to look for that break. Okay, so we're looking for that move up. So to answer your question, Mark, do I think the trend is over? I think that it's shifted towards a more a wide consolidation rather than, I think it's taking a pause on the trend. How about that? Right, taking a pause because it's in that wide consolidation, but it's going to be in that range before deciding the next big move. That would, I think that explains it reasonably well. Just looking at this again. Okay, I'm happy with that. If it breaks down from this point, it's going to be likely to be a big drop. But if you look again at the, just for the sake of checking, the CME Fed Watch tool, when it loads, is, well, see, we're dropping again to 8.5% chance for a rate cut decision, 91.5% chance to hold for the March 20th meeting. Okay, so that's why I think that it's going to be stuck in this range. Right, so now with that, then looking at the currency pairs, but we're looking at possibly some strength onto, right, some strength onto the dollar index to push to the upside in this range. I wouldn't, let me see, this trend line is done. We can take that one away. We're broken 38.2 and 23. 50 is right there, I don't need that. And 60 is on this resistance right there. Okay. Although I've removed that downward trend line, you can also see that we have this supporting prices to the upside, right? It came down, bounced off, and pushed higher. It does look like more upside potential for the Kiwi, which would contradict what we're expecting on the dollar index. Right? Dollar index doing that. Oh, wait. Okay. There we go. I still do think we're going to see the dollar index climb. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking it could push up, but there's not a big trade potential if you did that. There's a 35 pip move to the upside if it broke that point there towards a 61.8 level. Maybe what we can consider is if it reverses back down. No, I'll tell you what. I think that it's not likely because we're not expecting a big move here on the dollar index. Even if it does push up from 104 to 104.40, not a huge move there. What we possibly could look for on the Kiwi dollar would be a move like that, right? A move like that. So I would actually be looking, I wouldn't want to trade this up. There's not a lot of space to trade it up. So I would instead be looking to do this, a test and reject of the resistance. 6240. 20 pips, 25, and then 65 to the downside. I'll let it go up, and then I'll look for that rejection. Yes, you could look to sell it down from here, but I think because it's broken, it's likely to push up a little bit more before turning back down. Just want to check one more thing. If we did a channel, that would work as well. So it might, a bit of a decision point here at 62, 0.62. If it breaks above, I'll look for that rejection. If not, then we look to sell it back down. What it looks like is that it would, what I actually think, if I can control the markets, I think it'll do that. And then after that, come back down again. Right? So we're looking for it to test that level to sell it back down. So Kiwi 6240.25 to 65 to the downside. Looking to sell. This is reject resistance. We're looking to sell 0.6240, stop loss 25, take profit 65 to the downside. You're most welcome there, Mark, and good morning, Owen. How are you doing? I'm gonna sit there. I like this. This might push, consolidate around here. That's going to push the Kiwi up. I want to test and reject and sell it back down. That's fair. Then looking at the Aussie, I think the Aussie has a little bit more potential. It's all right in the middle. That's what I don't like as much. It's broken. Big move down. Broken 23. 38.2 is right there. Okay, we don't need that. Then also for this move down, we have, well, it's broken order level, so I don't need that either. Aussie, again, you see very similar to the, we can take that away because it's broken. Very similar to the Kiwi, we do have that trend line pushing up. I don't think, again, I don't think it's worth trying to do that 30 something 40 pip move to the upside, because it could stop anywhere in this resistance area. Right, it could stop anywhere. It could even be 27 pips move to the upside. So very similar to the Kiwi, would be looking for it to push up, test, and reject back down. Okay, could it break that resistance? Yes, can't rule that out, but I think that we would need a more substantial news to cause it to break that resistance, and at this time I don't see any of that kind of news on the horizon, possibly only into next week if it breaks above, for it to break above that resistance. So Aussie dollar, what I'll be looking for in this case would be, again, a test and reject below 0.66, stop loss 20, take profit. Take profits will be tricky. I'd say take profit will be down here at 60 pips. Right? So why I'm ignoring this point is just that it's only two levels now looking like it's trying to break, and this one has held quite a bit. So I'll be looking for that move back down. Breaking that point. If it does test higher, that's fine. That's what I'll be looking for. So Aussie again, reject resistance. I'll be looking to sell at below 0.66, stop loss 20, take profit 60 to the downside. Push up, test, yes. I'm actually thinking now that could it just sit here? Actually, maybe I'll revise that. I'll look for this instead, because on the Kiwi we're looking for it to push up further, test and reject to sell it back down. I'm thinking now on the Aussie, could we actually see that as a bit of a top? Right, we might see that as a bit of a top with that 23.6 level at this point here, and that would break the trend line as well. Trade down towards that 61.8 level. Okay, so I would revise that and say that maybe Aussie 6540, 20 pip stop, very generous 20 pip stop, and a 45 to the downside. I would even say that, you know, that could be even 15. Yeah. Okay. I like that one a lot more. I like that one a lot more. We have the Kiwi to push up, test and reject to sell back down. Aussie, I would say that if it sits there right across, it breaks that trend line, breaks that 23.6, we could see a downward move, especially if we see the dollar pushing back up. Okay. So I like that one, 6540, 15 to 45. We'll look for that. Take that one away. Sell at 0.6540, 15 to 45. 6540, stop loss 15, take profit 45. There we go. And yes, because the fundamentals are also against the Aussie. That's why, you know, it looks like it could push up, but I think that we're going to possibly see a bit more downside potential. Okay, Ronaldo is asking about the euro pound. Yes, we can get to that as well. Now I'm happy with that. Then looking at the US yen, I'll share with you one interesting thing is that as much as I hate trading the range, horizontal range, I did actually sell the yen. Where was it? I got in, and also a small trade. Think about there. No, 6 o'clock. Yeah, just at the start of that, as it test and reject, right? As it tested and rejected that resistance, I had my 20, and then I actually had it all the way down, thinking that it could do something similar to that, to that point where it tested that level and to push back up, right? But then it didn't get to my 60, actually I think I had a 70 pip move to the downside, and I'll show you that as well. So once it was outside of the Bollinger, then I thought, great, I'll close out. I closed out at 40 as it came back in, right? So that was a 20 pip stop loss, a 40 pip not take profit, a 40 pip close on the US yen for me from yesterday. Then now, with it being in well within that range in the middle, I would actually say that I'm not interested in the yen right now, okay, unless it breaks above this resistance level, which is back there. I don't need that. Let's draw that again. I would say that if it breaks above this point, the previous high or the near-term high as my resistance at 150.42. I don't, what is this level there? 151, no, we take this point for now. Right, and then we can be looking at that move, 150.50, 40 pip to 20 at the very most. Okay, so it breaks above this point, we could see another test of the high. Only if it breaks above 151, then we're going to possibly see more upside. But for now, that previous high is going to hold, is going to maintain. Does need to break above this high. If not, then it's going to remain within the range. A bit more waiting to do here on the US yen. So 150.50, 20 pip stop loss, 40 pip take profit to the upside. Okay, so 150.50, stop loss 20, take profit 40 to the upside. Hey Jamil, how you doing? Waiting to buy on the pound. We'll look at the pound next. So because I'm anticipating a bit of a dollar strength, some dollar strength, I'm not particularly sure whether buying the pound would be a good idea. We were talking about this on Monday to test and reject back down. It took a lot longer than expected, but it did test. Looks like it's rejecting or half rejected. 61.8 is still holding very strong since last week. More recently came close late last night, now sitting right there. If you look at this move, probably at 38.2 is right there. I don't think that would bit of a weak trend line there. I'm not too keen on this trend line. I'm looking at dollar strength. So I'm thinking that with this bounce, we could actually see it trade back down. especially with that 61.8 holding, right? So 1.2610 30 pip stop, and then a 70 pip move to the downside, like that. So we're looking at that, like this. Breaks below this point, we could see it trade down. There are a couple of levels to watch as a possible hurdle, particularly that 61.8, which would make it a very small trade. Right? So I'm looking at that, but I want to watch this point. Okay, so 1.2610, 30 pip stop, 70 pip take profit. We'll put that in. What do you think about the pound dollar? Does it align with your own setup? Let me know. 1.2610, stop loss 30, take profit 70. And then we have a hurdle or hesitation at 1.2585. 1.2585. There we go. Pips Apprentice has it at sell 1.2640. As in you did it already, I guess. You sold it at 1.2640. That was probably yesterday. No, early this morning or yesterday. That would be a okay kind of trade, I think, because it's just bounced back up, came almost to break even. So you want to see that break to the downside. It's sitting in consolidation. It's consolidating a little bit right now. But yes, we are looking for that downside push. Mark says pound inside the Kumo in 30 minutes with the energy to go up. It could go up. I mean, Jamil is looking to buy it up. I think that I would only be looking to buy the pound up if it breaks above this 61.8 level, right? Only if it breaks above this 61.8, then we could switch the bias to look for that upside move. But for now, if that holds, we're looking for that to push down. Hey Angel Case, how you doing? No worries. KK Trade says, Kiwi strong since yesterday. Do you think today? We just went through Kiwi. It's looking strong. We're looking for it to test and reject from the resistance if we do see that dollar strength come back into play. So pound is done. It's a bit indecision right now. Something needs to happen within this range. Then on to the euro. Okay, Pips Apprentice saying still holding, more likely to break Asia highs then back down. I think dollar index strength, yes. Okay, good. That aligns with what we were just talking about. Okay, but market holder above daily pivot, yes, I agree with that as well. So it's just on the pound dollar in particular, because it's in this range, in this area here, I'll say that it does need to break to the upside or the downside before you look for that setup. Okay. Then onto the euro. Look at that. So we were talking about this yesterday, that 50% retracement level, right? And it's broken that trend line. If I zoom right out and show you this trend line here, big push to the downside. It broke in the evening yesterday. And as usual, once you see it breaks a trend line quite strongly, and then it pushed up outside the Bollinger, came back in, sitting along that level again. I think that if we did this, you'd also see that it tested 61.8. Right, so I'll move that and say that it's tested 61.8, and that's why also together with the Bollinger, that's why we see that retracing back down. At this point now, take that one, wait, take this away. At this point now, so long as it stays below 1.0830, we're looking for that downside push, right? Mainly because look at the euro, big downside. So I'm always looking for selling opportunities on the euro. If we did this up, there we go, 23, again 23.6 right there. And then those previous points will be there. I think that it would be fair to see that, to be looking for that to break and trade back down to this now a bit invalid trend line. So I'll be looking at 1.08. I like that nice round number. Stop loss, tight, 15 pips. Take profit, I'll go down to almost 40 pips to the downside. To 30, yeah, 35, we'll do that. If it comes back into this range, we could see that drop further. Then you would extend that take profit lower and push your stop loss to break even or secure some profits. Okay, so on the euro dollar, and yes, I know we're looking very bullish on the dollar right now to push up, but it does look like that's going to happen. I don't feel comfortable on the, maybe only on the pound, but I don't look comfortable to go counter trend on the euro here. So I'll be looking to sell this at 1.08. Looks very similar. Stop loss 15, take profit 35, could go a lot lower as well. Okay, stop loss 15, take profit 35, could go a lot lower. There we have it. Just needs that to break up, yes. Okay, so now looking at the pound dollar sitting in that range, and the euro dollar looking like it might push back down. There was a question from Ronaldo about the euro pound. I don't have any lines here. Okay, we have a big resistance up here. We have a big resistance up here. Definitely have that support down here. I would also identify this point as that support. Right, and euro pushing to the downside. We could see this come down and test. It looks like the euro pound could come down to test this support level before maybe bouncing back up, or it has to come. It looks like it's more likely come down to this point before the next move of either bouncing back up or breaking lower. I think that likely euro pound could go towards that 0.8535 support level. Okay, hope I answered your question there, Ronaldo, on the euro pound. Dinah saying that daily time frame dollar index looks more bearish. Ooh, wait, what happened here? Okay, on the daily time, on the daily time frame, it does look more bearish, but I think that if you look at this on that move there, right? Or if you took that point, oh, too many lines soon. It says at that, looks like it might have a bit of a push up before turning back down. I think that in the medium longer term view, we are looking at further downside potential, but I think that in the short term where did my yellow box go? In the short term intraday, we're possibly looking at a bit of an upside. And also remember that, looking for it to sorry, I'm just messing with the chart right now. Looking for it to go up from this 104 towards 104.40 on a daily time frame view is really just a small blip to the upside before maybe pushing back down. So again, this is the H1 intraday kind of view. All right. Yeah, and then maybe over the next couple of days we'll see that test, and then maybe into next week we will see that push back down again. So that's why we have the red candles as the 4-hourly chart view that we were talking about on Monday. Diana says, yes, I agree, it will come up a bit, overall go down. Yeah, cool. Okay, so Ronaldo, hope I answered your question there on the Euro Pound. Next up, yeah, this one. Okay, so US Swiss. Oh, I want to show you this as well. We talked about this yesterday. I can't remember. Unfortunately, for the life of me, I can't remember who asked this question on the pound Aussie. Right, pound Aussie. We were talking about this breaking that support. We had it at 1.9252. We were saying that it's going to trade down towards the 1.92 level. It came right down, hit that take profit level, and bounced back, still being held by that trend line as it looks like it's pushing back down again. So again, looking at that key support level, if that breaks, then we could have massive downside moves on the pound Aussie. With the next big level, or kind of big level about there, or that point there at 9.1. Okay, so just wanted to add that in on the pound Aussie. I didn't get into this trade because it's not a pair that I monitor closely, but we did analysis yesterday, so just wanted to share with you how that went. Then on to the US Swiss franc. It is such a bore. It is such a bore. It's sitting right at that support level despite what's happening on the dollar index. I always say that the Swiss franc is driven by the volatility of the dollar index, but the volatility in the dollar index has not, in this case, translated to much movements on the US Swiss franc, still holding at that support level, and it's in the indecision point. In this case, I would say that if you want to get into want to consider something, then maybe this could be the what if dollar index doesn't strengthen, if it pushes all the way back down, right? If it sits there and breaks to the downside, then yes, maybe that's going to lead to the US Swiss franc finally finding a direction, a bias to push down. You'll be looking at 8790. Stop loss no more than 30 pips. Take profit, you could go all the way down to 70 pips to the downside with some weak hesitation areas. I wouldn't say it's particularly strong, but you could be looking at that move if the dollar index does crash back down, right? Doesn't recover, but just crash back down. Jamil says it's in a buy, I think, on the pound, pushing up slightly, but yeah, in this range, I wouldn't do anything. I'll only be buying the pound if it breaks above that 61.8. So US Swiss franc, possibly if the dollar weakens significantly, will sell down from 8790, 30 pip to 70 pip take profit. As a counter and net counter bias, we look to sell 0.8790, yes, 30 to 70. Stop loss 30, take profit 70 to the downside. Then as we look at the US yen, I'm still looking for that slight push to the upside and a counter on the US Swiss franc possibly pushing back down. But if the US yen pushes up, it's likely to be because of the dollar index strength, then we're not going to see this crash. So we'll cover both areas. Dinah saying dollar index, want to see if it's aligned with my level of retracement. 104.25. I don't have 104.25. Wait, where is it? 25 is there. I have it a bit higher up at 104.38. Okay. Right. I think you caught that already. So with that, then, yeah, so I'm thinking of if the dollar index does strengthen to push the US yen to the upside, it's not going to drag the US Swiss franc back down. That's going to push up. So because Dinah's on the session, the Swiss yen, we're talking about this testing and pushing back up. It did not test as low as we expected, but it is pushing back up. I would say that it needs to break above 170.70. Needs to break above 170.70 for the upside. But I think that if you look at how it's been super choppy at this point, it's probably not worth it. So that's, well, that's broken. We don't need that anymore. We'll keep that one. Yeah, I think that you could buy this back up, but it's going to be a bit undecided. Look at all that tails and wicks. Very undecisive area here. I think it might be time to take a bit of a break on the Swiss yen. Possibly let it calm down a little bit. We'll probably be only looking for reactions along the support or a possible rejection along that resistance there. I think those will be the safer trades rather than try and catch that move in the middle. And Diana agrees with me. Yes, better stay away for a while unless it shows a clear direction, even a higher time frame, nothing there. Exactly, right? So you don't need to always try and enter a trade. Let it move, let it test and reject, or let it test and bounce. Then onto the US CAD. That is what we'll be talking about, a test and reject. What I think could happen here is actually a little bit different. What I think could happen here is that, well, that one's broken. We have our 61.8 there. And that's great. I like that. What needs to happen is for that to break the resistance, and then I would buy it up 1.3550. Oh, it's a small move. 35, 15, that way. Yeah, you could look at that. Or you could look at it as a rejection back down if the dollar weakens, which could actually, that might work quite well. So it tests 61.8. We're looking for that to test because we've gone so heavy. We've gone so heavy on over the last couple of pairs on dollar strength scenarios. USCAD maybe on dollar weakness could sell back down. A test and reject of 61.8. Selling back down 1.3535. A stop loss 20 at the very most. Take profit could go down to 70 at the previous low from last week. Oh no, from Friday. Right, Friday's low. I think that would work. Then in that case, 1.3535, 20 pips, stop loss, 70 pip take profit on the US CAD to the downside. Again on dollar weakness scenario, 3535, stop loss 20 set to 70, stop loss 20, take profit 70. Okay, so these are the $2 weakness scenarios. These are dollar strength scenarios, and that works. Then on to gold. All right, we were talking about this to go up and test, anticipating that dollar strength. Looking at this. No, I don't need that. Looking at this. Break below this point. So it's, let me zoom out a bit and have a look. I think what I'm actually looking at here, on gold is a push to the downside, but I don't think it would be a good idea to sell it down. I think that it might actually make more sense to let it retrace and look for a bounce back up. Right, with that trend line there still holding. So let me see. We don't need these levels. We can take that one. I think that it could do that. That's a big move, but I think it could come down to this area. It could come down to this area here and then bounce back up like that. So I want to see maybe gold coming down towards that 2018 area and a possible bounce. Okay, so gold, I would be looking for possible retrace down to 2018. Looking for a bounce back to that 2032 level. There we go. Okay. How do you like that? How do you like that? Right, so that's what we have for today. Might be a little bit of a slow session, so do take it easy. In the meantime, please remember, help me out massively by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Do leave a comment or any feedback if you have as well. I would really appreciate that. And if you haven't already, you can join us on the Discord channel. They're available for you guys to join absolutely for free. With that said, please trade well, trade safe. I will see you all tomorrow. Any questions, do ask it away in the Discord channel. Thank you, everyone. Yes, have a green day ahead especially on that dollar index candle. I want to see that being green, pushing up, and a profitable day to everyone. Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate that. And thank you, Mark. Thanks, Jumarinus. Take care now. Bye-bye.